we're just going to ask you a straightforward question. Can you be other than in the now? It's a trick question. Esther's father had a question. Where was the man when he jumped off the bridge? And Esther would say, on the bridge. And her father would say, that was before he jumped. And Esther would say, in the air. And her father would say, that was after he jumped. So there was no way she could not ever satisfy him, because where was the man when he jumped off the bridge? Well, there was never the right answer. But when we ask you, when we put this question to you, can you be other than in the now? Can you be other than in the now? Well, yeah, I could be thinking about the past. Yeah, but you're doing it now. I could be thinking about the future. Yes, but you're doing it now. I could be focused on what's happening in the room. Yes, but you're doing it now. In other words, you can never have a conscious moment that you are not experiencing the junction of where you meet you. And that's what now is. Now is not so much about time passing. Now is your point of focus. But what we want to emphasize in this conversation about now is that there are two potential aspects of you that are rendezvousing now. And that's really what you're getting at. Now, am I letting most of me be present in the now? How much of me is present in the now? Am I pinching most of me off because I'm criticizing or pushing against or afraid of something? Or am I allowing full presence in the now? That's the way we want to have the now conversation. How am I doing now in relationship to the fullness? Because there's always something manifesting. Because you can't, in other words, you could knock yourself unconscious and your now could be different. But in a conscious moment, aren't you having a now experience? Aren't there people beside you and in front of you and behind you? And isn't this room what it is? And aren't you hearing this voice? And isn't the temperature what it is? And aren't you interested to some degree in the conversation? You can't get away from now. You cannot stop being present in the now. I'm looking for the allowance, my allowance, of a larger part of the presence of me to be focused in this moment. So if I criticize something, I disallow the presence, because my inner being, like Esther's, is not going to come out of the vortex and join me in my criticism. So if I want the fullness of who I am, I must tune myself to appreciation and to love, to things that are interesting. I must feel worthiness. I must know the wholeness of who I am. I must conceptually understand who I am, where I came from. I must understand the vortex. I must be pretty good at paying attention to the way I feel and guiding myself because of the way I feel. I must care about how I feel. I must deliberately find thoughts that allow the fullness of who I am. When you feel an emptiness that you might call fear, you're not afraid of what you think you're afraid of. The fear is you've used whatever you're thinking about as a reason to deprive yourself in the now of the fullness of who you are. Isn't that good to know? Oh no, Abraham, I feel this way because I was thinking that thought, and that thought is a horrible thought. And we say, that's all part of the story, and that may be true, but you don't feel bad because you're thinking that thought. You feel bad because you're focused away from the full presence of the real presence of who you really are and what's in the vortex and what you really want, and you're depriving yourself of the manifestation of what you want. And in the absence of light, there's darkness. In the absence of wellness, there's sickness. In the absence of clarity, there's confusion. In other words, are you getting it? What are you allowing? It's all about, everything is about what's in the vortex and how much of what's in the vortex that you're allowing right now. That's it. That's what the whole deliberate creative conversation, or allowing or surrendering or law of attraction or spiritual conversation is about. How much of the real presence of who I am I allowing right now by the thought that I've chosen to think? And people get so hung up on reality that they think, well, it's true, so I should think it. No, it's not. It's not true. It's temporary. By the time it manifested, it is old news. But so can you feel how fun it is to reach for the vortex and find it often and feel pretty good and milk it every chance you get, and then see manifestations reflect how good you feel? Last week, Barbara and Esther were flying back to San Antonio, and their plane left White Plains late, and then their plane was delayed sitting on the tarmac when it arrived in Atlanta, and they missed their connection, which looked like something going wrong. Until they got on the airplane with the funniest flight attendant who ever has existed. And Esther and Barbara began playing with her, and the woman became a comic because Esther and Barbara were egging her on until they laughed themselves silly. And they were in the first class cabin, and there were very few people around, and most of the people around were not having any of it because it was just too silly. We are certain that they thought Esther and Barbara were drunk. They were not. And the flight attendant too. And then the flight attendant announced that they keep giving her drug and alcohol testing because she's just too happy. And she keeps passing it, and she had said that she was on a diet. She'd lost 12 pounds suddenly, and Esther thought, oh, well, that could be a little bit of a problem. Your electrolytes might be out of whack. And she said she's eating some sort of concoction that was mostly cucumbers and tomatoes. And Esther said, it might be fermenting in your stomach and turning to alcohol, because she was very high and very happy. And then a man across the way, who was really not having any of it, finally just had to give in to it. It was too funny not to give in to it. It was just too funny. The flight attendants would come up and tell this main flight attendant things that were going on in the back of the airplane, and then she would announce it to Esther and Barbara like they should be in the know of this. And it was completely inappropriate, the things that she was telling them, but utterly hysterical until Esther's eyelashes were in her lap. You just can't laugh that hard and maintain any kind of glue, no matter how good it is. And then the man across the way finally got involved in it too. And now it is time to land the plane. And this flight attendant is so involved in her entertainment that she has not made any of the announcements. And so Esther said, please bring your seat and trays to the upright and locked position. And the man across the way said to this wonderful woman, you might want to take your seat. And she said, do you see treetops? And he said, I do. And then she flies into her kitchen, realizing she has not put anything away. And the plane is landing, and she's going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Closing doors. And then the final thing, Barbara and Esther see her fly across the door and hit her seat in the moment that the plane hit the ground. And Esther said to Barbara, I would not have missed this for anything. I'm so appreciative of all of the events that unfolded in the most logical path of least resistance that allowed us to have this much fun in this little bit of time, this powerful now, where cooperative components rendezvoused and the whole of who we are was present for 2 hours. The whole of who we are was present for 2 hours. What a wonderful moment in time. We want to speak this in a clearer way than ever before. So if I focus upon good feeling things, like this flight attendant or anything, if I focus on that, then that's the key to my vortex. That's one way of looking at it. But we want you to flip that and say, if I can focus myself into the vortex will cause the manifestation. My vortex connection affects manifestation rather than what I observe that is manifested affecting my vortex connection. Can you feel the difference? Because when you get it, that under any and all conditions you can accomplish your vortex connection, then you can move rapidly into new manifestations. In other words, what bogs you down, we've been saying for years that there's a buffer of time between the time that you conceive of an idea and it actually manifests. But the buffer of time has always been about how long it takes you to close that gap. So we're suggesting that you, in the ignoring of more of what is, and in the caring more about the way you feel, and in the deliberately doing more of the vortex work just for the sake of feeling good, which means go general and then more general into positive, and then doing more of the vortex work, we just are so eager for you to begin feeling the power of your focus and its ability to affect manifestation now. In other words, it's releasing any connection to the what isness that doesn't please you and doing the work anyway. And in doing the work, the manifestation will show you that you've done the work. But here's the tricky thing. So I'm not in the vortex, so I want to find thoughts that will bring me in. It's like this game we play with these cards. I can create both money and the time to enjoy it. Right. I can earn money by doing what I love to do. Life is always working out for me. The story I tell is the basis of my life. My life story and the law of attraction. It's getting very tiring. I'll tell my story as I want it to be. Whatever I desire, I can acquire. Achieving success is my natural birthright. My every story is attracting its vibration. I am the creator of my own experience. Money is not the root of evil or happiness. I am the attractor of my every experience. I can deliberately choose to feel better. Who writes this stuff? Because we like to talk about that efforting from outside the vortex is the hard way of going about it. And so when you said, I can think the thoughts that put me in the vortex, we want it to be softer than that. We want it to be more general than that. We want you to say, I love the feeling of the vortex. I like feeling good. I like knowing my power. I like feeling clarity. I like feeling frisky. I like feeling fun. I like doing well. I like rendezvousing with good things. I like having good timing. Hear the difference? You're talking about, well, I like the feeling of passion. I like a feeling of contentment. I love a feeling of satisfaction. I love a quiet moment. I just love the feeling of the vortex. I love knowing that the vortex is there. I love knowing that my inner being is in the vortex. I love knowing that all the stuff I want is in the vortex. I love knowing that it's not just possible, that it's probable, that it's likely, that it's certain, that anything else is completely illogical. I love my vortex. I love my vortex. I so love my vortex. Now, those are thoughts that you're thinking, but they're more thoughts about feeling. They're more general thoughts about the vortex. You see the difference? And then, having achieved that connection with the vortex, then something will manifest that will confirm to you that you did the work, you see. And then when you read the card from inside the vortex, these cards which were written from inside the vortex will tell you, we wrote them, I can see my world through the eyes of source. Because I'm in there where the source is. I can see my world through the eyes of source. Just with the conversation that we just had, don't you now affirm that? Don't you want to do all of your affirming from inside the vortex? So don't you just want to generally move yourself in and then stay as long as you can? So now you're there. Now these cards feel fun to you. The law of attraction adds power. Don't you love knowing that? Law of attraction adds power to whatever I'm focused upon, to both problems and solutions. I'm in the vortex. Feel the goosebumps. I'm in the vortex. I can create both money and the time to enjoy it. What a perfect combination. What a perfect combination. Plenty of money and plenty of time and plenty of wonderful stuff to savor. Ooh, that's a vortex generator, isn't it? My every story is attracting its vibrational match. Love what I'm attracting right now. Love my every story attracts its vibrational match. And my story from inside the vortex, ooh, what's coming? The anticipation of it. Oh, I don't have to anticipate too far because someone walks in and confirms it. Someone walks right into the room. You know this. Watch for it today and tomorrow. Watch how many things will happen that I can deliberately choose to feel better now. These are wonderful. I can see my world through the eyes of source. I will praise success wherever I see it. Yes, I will. Yes, I will, because it feels so very good to praise success wherever I see it. The physical me is materialized spirit. Materialized spirit. That I'm a manifestation of pure positive energy. How could it go wrong under those conditions? Knowing that, don't you just feel empowered to know that? The physical me, my flesh, blood, and boniness body is materialized spirit. I can follow the trail of good feeling thoughts. I am the creator of my own life experience.